Get ready, because the financial world is on the brink of its biggest event in years. We're talking about a historic comeback, a massive wave of mega companies all lining up to go public.
You might have noticed the market for initial public offerings, or IPOs. Yeah, it's been pretty much a ghost town for a few years. All the biggest private companies were just waiting. But that is all about to change big time. So the real question is, why now?
Because the numbers we're talking about are just staggering. The combined potential value of just the top companies on this list is over $3.6 trillion. That's trillion with a T. This isn't just a small wave, it's a full-on tidal wave of cash getting ready to hit the public markets. From companies shooting rockets into space to the minds behind the AI revolution, the biggest names in tech are finally making their move. So, let's dive in and break down exactly who these titans are, why this is all happening right now, and what it really means for you in the market.
So what's behind this sudden explosion of activity? Well, after a long, quiet period, the IPO market is seeing its best momentum in a long time. It's really a perfect storm. Interest rates are stabilizing, investors are hungry for growth again, and there's this huge backlog of massive, mature companies just waiting for their moment.
And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at these numbers. Back in 2022, IPOs brought in a pretty meager $8.6 billion. But since then, it's been a steady climb, hitting over $47 billion in 2025. That kind of trajectory is exactly what sets the stage for a record-breaking 2026.
But here's the catch. This isn't the wild anything-goes market of 2021. As Mike Bellin from PwC points out, investors are way more selective now. They're not just throwing money at ideas anymore. They want to see real established businesses that actually make money or have a super clear plan to get there. The whole growth at all costs thing, that's over. Profitability is king now.
So who are the companies leading this charge? Well, we need a new word for it. We're not just talking about unicorns anymore, companies worth over $1 billion. No, the headliners for 2026 are what we're calling Hectocorns. These are private giants with valuations over $100 billion. And the scale here is, well, it's just hard to wrap your head around. Kicking things off, you've got SpaceX, the company that is literally changing how we think about space travel, could IPO for up to $1.5 trillion. Then there's ByteDance, the AI giant behind TikTok, sitting on a valuation that's bigger than the entire economy of some countries. It's just massive.
And of course, you knew this was coming. The AI revolution is front and center. OpenAI, the company that gave us ChatGPT, is looking at a valuation that could hit $1 trillion. Its biggest competitor, Anthropic, is right there with it, another absolute heavyweight in the AI space. And behind the scenes, you have Databricks, the data platform that's basically the engine for a lot of these AI companies.
Now let's talk money, specifically financial tech. Two huge disruptors are finally getting ready to go public. Stripe, the payments giant that powers so much of the internet's economy, has been probably the most anticipated IPO for years. And right there with it is Revolut, the digital bank that has completely changed how millions of people, especially in Europe, handle their finances.
And then there are the brands you probably use, or at least know, every single day. The fast fashion behemoth Shein, the incredibly easy-to-use design software Canva, and of course the social platform Discord, which has become the default hangout spot for countless online communities. These aren't just companies, they're part of our daily lives.
But don't think for a second that this is just a Silicon Valley story. Not at all. This IPO boom is a truly global phenomenon. And one of the most exciting places to watch right now is the Indian market, which is gearing up for its own massive wave of public listings.
I mean, just look at this lineup. You've got Reliance Jio, the telecom company that basically brought affordable internet to hundreds of millions of people. You have Flipkart, the e-commerce giant backed by Walmart, and PhonePe, a huge leader in India's digital payments explosion. What this really tells us is that investors see massive growth potential in big global markets, way beyond the usual tech hubs.
Okay, so with all this incredible hype, it's really easy to get swept up in the excitement. But we need to take a step back and have a reality check, because a blockbuster IPO doesn't automatically guarantee long-term success. It is absolutely crucial to see how some of the other recent big IPOs have actually performed once they hit the market. And wow, the results are a powerful reminder that this is a high-stakes game. On one side, you have these huge home runs. Reddit has just exploded, soaring over 500% since it went public. CoreWeave, an AI infrastructure company, is up almost 150%. But then you have the other side of the coin, major disappointments like the EV maker VinFast and the ambitious Gemini space station, both down by a ton since their IPOs.
So what's the difference? What separates the rocket ships from the duds? Well, a company like Reddit figured out new ways to make money, especially by licensing its data for training AI models. VinFast, on the other hand, just couldn't hit its really ambitious goals in a super competitive EV market. It's a tough lesson. The public market can be absolutely brutal if you don't deliver.
So what does this all mean for the rest of us? What's the bigger picture here? Well, having this massive flood of new, incredibly valuable companies hit the public market is going to create ripple effects that we'll be feeling for years. There's a key idea you need to keep in mind, and it's called the bellwether IPO. Basically, the first few giants to test the waters, think Stripe or Databricks, are going to be a huge signal. Their performance will show us how hungry investors really are. If they do well, it builds momentum for everyone else. But if they stumble, it could slam that IPO window shut all over again.
And you know, when you boil it all down, it really comes back to that timeless piece of wisdom from Warren Buffett. With companies being valued in the hundreds of billions or even trillions of dollars, the big challenge for every single investor is figuring out the difference between the hype-driven price and the real, actual value of the business underneath.
And that leaves us with one final really big thought. For years, these companies have been able to innovate like crazy as private entities, away from the pressure of quarterly earnings reports. So the $3.6 trillion question is this: once they go public, can they keep up that incredible pace of innovation? Or will their main focus shift to just keeping Wall Street happy?
And just a quick but really important note before we go. All of this has been put together for educational purposes. It is not and should not be seen as any kind of investment, tax, or legal advice. Please always do your own research.